I have this nailed together. It was put on 16 on center layout. It doesn't matter if this is a wall or if it's a floor system. We kind of dealt with this the other day. We went outside and we worked with setting up some building lines, correct? First thing that you have to do after it's nailed together, before you would start sheeting it or covering it, what would you want to do? What did we do outside after we got our measurements?
Remeasure it, make sure everything's
Make sure it's square. How do we go about that? There you go. There you go. This is you guys. Austin, you'll read your measurement first. Now, one thing you got to be concerned with, this is fine that you guys got all getting involved. You guys got to make sure you're holding it the same way. Are you hooking on the outside of yours? I would hook on the outside corner. Yep. Yep. That way you're making sure you're doing the same thing. Okay. Austin, what do you got? You want to go right to your point. Yep. So you got to bring your tape over so you can see it. You got to kind of eyeball it down to this right here. So it's 153 and what?
3/5/8.
Okay, pretty close. 151 and a half, and you have what?
153 and 5/8.
Okay, which way's bigger?
This left.
Okay, so what do you got to do to fix that, and how much do you have to move it?
You gotta kick it.
You got to kick it. Kick what?
The corner.
This anywhere you want to kick it?
No, the corner.
Which one? Which corner? What's going to make this measurement smaller? There's two different things you can do. If you moved it this way, that would change it, right? Or if you move that way, making that one bigger, that would work. But how much do you got to move it? You don't want to just start banging around on it. How much do you have to move it? Approximately, it's 1 3/4 inches off.
What was theirs? 5/8, 153 and 5/8.
And what's yours?
151 and a half.
Okay, so it's pretty close to, two, the outside corner, right?
The outside corner.
Yeah,
Let me remeasure it.
there you go. That's why I said you guys got to make sure you're measuring the same.
153 and a half.
It's an 1/8 inch. So what would you have to move it? If it was an 1/8 inch off, what would you have to move it? 1/16, half that distance, right? For this 1/6, or that isn't that far, it's a 1/16 out of square. The sheeting will square it up that much. So we don't have to move it, okay? But we understand that process of how to straighten that up, right?
On the outside corner, measure from the outside.
Outside to outside. Is that what you did?
Yeah, I thought it was where it meets in the middle.
Okay, no, okay. So you guys can move your tapes. We have it pretty good. Okay, so our next step is we're gonna say this is a floor system. Of course, your floor joist would be a lot thicker than that. You'd never have 2x4 floor joists, but it's still 2x material representing a floor, okay? So you need to apply the sheeting, and this is special sheeting for a floor. It's tongue and groove, okay? It's for strength because it ties it together. You want the groove out that way. Walls and floor systems get sheeted a little bit different. See how that sheeting is running on that wall? It's right up and down parallel with your studs, okay? A floor system or a roof is a little bit different. You run them perpendicular, so the opposite way, okay? So this would get laid on here to fasten down. Where do you think you would line it up with first? If the outside, so this edge, why this edge? Because we started layout from that side, correct? It doesn't matter if it's a wall, a roof, a floor system. You always want to start at the end that you started layout from. So if we're starting at this side, we would start lining this up and that up, right? Okay. A couple things about a floor system that is put on. We are not going to do this because we want to take this apart and reuse the material. But normally glue is applied and then the sheeting goes down. Why do you think they put that glue on there?
Well, to seal anything so it can't go through and pull it down.
To hold it down, yes. Have any of you at home, do you walk across your floor and you hear a squeak anywhere? Okay, it's not that it eliminates it, but it does help, and it does take some of that away. So that's one way of preventing squeaks is with glue. Another way is rather than nailing your floor down, you screw it down, okay? Most everything today is nailed with aromatic nailers, air-powered nailers. Because we want to pull this apart, we are going to screw this down. I don't want to mislead you and think this is what you use for flooring screws, because it isn't. We're just going to use drywall screws because we just want to tack it, okay? Normally it's a special screw. It has a lot of shear strength. Drywall screws do not have a lot of shear strength, which means the head will pop off. And we may bust a couple when we're putting this together. You kind of got to be gentle how you run them in because they'll shear off really easy. But normally sheeting is nailed with, what type of nail is this? It's a framing nail. 8D, yes, 8D sinker. Okay. What about 2x material to 2x material? What's that nailed with? 16Ds, yes, that's important. When you guys nail stuff together, I can tell the difference between that head and the head there. So you would get a deduction because if you nailed it with this, that's not what 2x to 2x is nailed with. It's nailed with 8s. This would be okay because it's a smooth shank nail for walls, but you wouldn't want to use that on your floor. Usually a ring shank nail if you're nailing it, and that helps prevent the squeaks also. Also, if this was something treated, what would you have to nail it with? Galvanized, what size if you were nailing sheeting down? 8 galvanized, right? And everybody knows what a galvanized nail is, correct? I think we went over this. But any treated, which they're covered, galvanized. So same way if you were using screws, you'd have to use a galvanized screw. Okay, so what I'm going to have you guys, we're going to pretend we got the glue on there, and we're going to apply the sheeting. Remember, the groove is out, okay? Normally for something long, you would snap a line end to end. You got something to line it up with, but we're not going to do that. We are just going to lay the sheeting on there. We're going to line it up with the edge. So go ahead. A couple of you get a hold of a sheet. Groove is out that way, and we're going to line it up with this edge. Now, another thing I want you to pay attention to with sheeting, see how it has these lines on it? Okay, the other side does not have any lines. It's smooth, okay? Sheeting has to be applied a certain way. The side with the lines, it's rougher too, also, and this is smoother back here, okay? Rough side of sheeting, or the part with the lines, is always up and out. So if it's on a roof, the rough side's up, okay? If it's on a floor, the rough side's up. If it's on a wall, it's out, okay? These lines are to help you find your studs or floor joists, help you kind of line them up a little bit, okay? So go ahead, somebody get on that end. So this end has to go down here, correct? So somebody, right? Right, but his corner has to go down here for that to line up right, correct? So get a hold of that sheeting and carry it over there. Just flop it down on there. Now remember, what is that the end you're going to line up with? Right, where you started layout. Okay, so go ahead, you can just lay it down on there. Okay, so you got this, you're starting to line it up. Where's the first spot you think you should fasten this piece? Right in this corner where you started layout, correct. So I have some drills out. There's a big tub of drywall screws there. No, actually, them are 8 sinkers. That's not what I wanted. Austin, will you run over there? I think them drywall screws are over there. Drywall screws. They're in the big square tub there, just like I have over here. Big square tub. Yes. No. Yes. Isn't that drywall screws? No. Is there another tub like that there? Does it say drywall screws on it? There should be some drywall screws over there. No, them are way too long. Look on the tubs, they say right what they are. Should be 1 5/8" drywall screws.
It's because you're going the wrong way, I think. Left you loose, you're right.
Or drill in next end.
Well, remember, wood is not always straight.
Yeah.
And we kind of talked about this before. So one thing you don't want to happen is everybody get fastening on it all at once. Okay, you start in this corner, and then you would want to be down here moving that around and lining this up as you go. You got to get one side perfectly straight. No drywall screws, you guys?
Drywall.
Austin. No. Sinkers, 1 5/8" drywall nails.
Yeah.
Inch nails. Make sure they all have nails in them.
Yeah, that one has nails.
There's some on my desk there, Austin, right on the side there. They're 1 1/4", but that's okay. You'll see a little tub of them. No, they're not, are they? Yep. Okay. So go ahead, whoever's screwing, get one in that corner down there with it lined up. We have our glue on, correct? Okay, Austin, you want this down here, right?
That's what I'm doing.
Why is the tongue sticking out this way?
Because it comes factory with a tongue. If you think about it, this was a floor system, your wall would cover that right up. You'll never see it, okay? Okay, so somebody's got to get over here.
In the corner?
In the corner. So you're concerned with this being lined up and this at the same time, right? And you're just putting one there. And we've used this before, so they got some nice holes for you, so it makes it a little easier. Don't try to run them screws in super fast because you'll snap them right off because, like I said, they don't have a lot of shear strength. Okay, you don't have to bury them down in or anything. Just get them down flush. I didn't think that sounded right. It was like it was in there crooked. See how you got to make sure that's lined up. Go ahead. Slow.
I know.
There you go.
Hey, this
Okay.
is yours.
All right, so we're going to work our way along this edge and get that straight. So go ahead. You got to keep coming down through here. We are going to fasten it just on the centers, which would be where? Yes. No, don't do that yet. You don't want to start screwing all over, and I'll explain that in a minute. You got to get one edge all the way lined up.
So we can't start this edge again.
Nope. Yep. Yep. And that's okay to skip one as long as this is already lined up. But you got to make sure that's lined up. If not, then you're going to be pulling this out of square, okay? Now, normal fastening, if you were nailing it, or even if you were screwing it with the screws that you're supposed to be using, how far apart do you think you want those nails or screws? This is the guess. That would be too far. 6 inches, 6 to 8 inches, no more than 8. So everywhere this needs to be fastened, it has to be 6 to 8 inches. So you're going to have one between each one of these. We're not going to do that because we're taking this apart. On each one of these are floor joists because we're using this as a floor system. Every one of those would have to be that. Okay, so once this is fastened nice and straight, you would move to here. Okay, but it'd have to be straight. So where would your next screw go?
Right here?
Yeah, someplace in there, and work your way down it. Okay, making sure that's straight. You can't just fasten stuff where it lays. You got to remember, wood's not straight. Sometimes you have to pull it around to go where it needs to go.
Whew, I thought my sister was singing. Whew.
Must not have been a hole there, huh?
No.
No pre-drilled hole for you there?
Nope, no, we're here. You said 6 inches actually.
Well, for what we're doing, a foot is good, but yes, it should be every 6 to 8 inches. We are just temporarily putting this on there. Loud, isn't it?
It's annoying.
Mm-hmm.
You wonder why I have headaches coming here.
Okay, get one more up there,
At the end.
and then it'll be good.
Start singing again.
Please do not fall though.
Perfect. Okay, so now once you get to this point, you have to think about wood not being straight. You know you have this lined up and this is lined up, but are these lined up? And you got to think about a floor system. More than likely, them are 16-foot long floor joists. They're going to go out there. They're going to be bowed all over the place. They're not straight. Okay, so you have to pull a layout on every row. So you would come here. You know this is correct, right? Because it's flush.
Yes.
You hook on here, and what did we mark when we laid out? 16 on center, correct?
Yes.
So, but what did we actually mark? 15 and a quarter. Oh, it's done from last year. Here, you mark them along there, all along there, getting them right. Okay, now this one did not get marked right. Somebody marked on both sides, it looks like.
It was me.
Which you do not want to do. Don't get in the habit of marking this side of your stud and the other side. It gets confusing to people. One mark on the side you pulled layout from. Okay, they did the same thing here. Okay, so once you have those marks along there, now you have to move these floor joists back and forth to get them lined up before you fasten it. Once you fasten it here, all this can get fastened. So I'll let you guys go ahead and fasten, pull them around and get them on the center they're supposed to be. Somebody move them, somebody fasten them. Got a hole from last year?
Yep.
Perfect, isn't it?
It's awesome.
Makes it so easy.
I know, and you must be really sad too.
I am. You know how that disappoints me when things are easy.
That's on here. Here's find happiness and misery.
Well, yeah, you have to.
Well, if you run out people's misery, you'll be a good politician.
Yes. Where does that have to line up with for our layout? What is it down here? Center. You have to line that one up with the center, right? So down here, that would be center, right? Austin, where's that? How's that tilt? Why is that so tight? Right here?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah, I don't want that tight. You can't hardly move it. Okay. Run out of screws? How come she's the only one running a screw, John?
This is so much fun, and I don't want to pick those up.
Somebody.
I'm good.
Okay, so it's all fastened. You got that end one fastened too? And where does that one have to line up with?
The center.
Yep, you center the sheeting up on that, right? Eyeballing down it, it should be about the same as this end, right? Okay, so we have that fastened. We got one sheet on, okay? So now we got to finish this off, okay? It's not a full one,
We
so
might have to cut it.
you are going to make a cut.
What?
Yes, you are going to make a cut. I have the saw out for you, cord. I had one of them plugs, so we'll make a cut. Now, it matters what end of that sheeting you cut off from. When you're butting two sheets together, see how this is green and it's painted? What do you think you want to butt up to that?
The green.
a factory edge. So it matters what end of the sheet you cut that off from. Okay, so go ahead. Somebody, I got these sawhorses out. Somebody can take a measurement. We can get it up on the sawhorses and make a cut. Now, where do you think you should take that measurement at?
The edge of this one to the end, right?
Right, but think about this. What if this is bowed way in the center, or it's bowed way out? You don't really know, right? It could be even bowed worse there. Where's the only place you should be taking that measurement?
Is this when you
Exactly.
fasten
Right there is where you have to take the measurement.
Oh my god, the camera got my booty.
Huh?
to? Is that when you fasten?
No, screw
It should be, yeah. But that's all right that it's not. I mean, he can still take his measurement.
I know the camera was out and I'm like,
Okay, what do you got there? Right on 2 foot. Okay, somebody mark that.
2 foot.
2 foot. What? First of all, we were concerned about the end. What end do we want it marked on? That end, yes. Yep. No, because of the tongue and groove. You got to be concerned with that, where that tongue and groove is. If you cut it off this end, you would have the.
No. I mean from this side.
Right, it is factory, but if you butted this factory to this factory, would that groove be in the right spot? No, it wouldn't. There's only one end that you can cut that from. Now, OSB for like a roof or walls, yeah, that doesn't matter because as long as it's factory button to factory. Okay, so 2 foot. Okay, couple different things you can do here to get the rest of your mark. One thing I will tell you is don't use this as perfectly straight. They're just roughly put on there for you. So we have to mark this. Got 2 choices. You can mark it with a pencil. Okay, I have a big T-square there. That blue square, so grab that. Works just like your speed square. You hook it on the edge, you get it flat, and then you line it up with your line. So you hook it right on there. See how that hooks? And then push it flat, and then let him slide it where he needs it and keep it flat. Okay. Now, what would happen if this thing gets banged around? Do you think it's going to stay square?
no.
You can go ahead and mark it. I'm really picky about how these squares get handled in
I
here.
couldn't tell.
Because tools cost money, and if you're not taking care of them, they're going to be bad. So before we get any cutting going or anything like that, these, when you're done using them, they get set up. They can get set up here like this, with that on the bottom. I do not want to see these like this, because when this goes over, which guaranteed it probably is gonna, it's hitting this, it's knocking this out of square. Okay, then they're no good for you. Okay, so make sure you're setting them up on the bottom or setting them flat on the ground. Before we cut that, I have a chalk box over there too. Does everybody know what a chalk box is? Austin, are you getting it? Recording up there.
Recording him.
Okay. So, chalk box, of course, they have a handle to reel the line back up. You got to get that out of your way so you can unreel it. Another way you could have marked this, how many marks did you have to use for that? How many marks did you have to put on there? It was 1, right? For the chalk box, you'd have to mark it at this end and that end. But you may not have one of them with you, so you could do this and then hold it on your 2 marks. And whenever you use a chalk box, you got to hold on to that. You have to draw this up. Feel how tight I'm drawing that? You have to draw this tight. A loose line is not going to snap a straight line. Okay? When you go to snap, don't pick this thing way up in the air like this. There's no reason for it. Okay? You just pick it up a little bit and snap it. Okay? There we go. That's how that works. Chalk box? Yeah. It is till I make you use red chalk and it don't wash off. Usually call the guy that's snapping lines when he's got to use red man. He usually has a red ring around his lips and on his face and all over his hands, and don't wash off.
Billy Joe, someone got shot in the face with it. It was so funny.
Okay. With red?
Yeah, with that.
Red's rough. I don't like red because I can, of course my sight's going. I can see blue a lot better. Blue washes off really easy. If you're going to snap something and maybe you need it for a few days and it may have a possibility of rain or even frost or dew, the blue will disappear on you. Red will not disappear. So a lot of times when you're doing concrete work, you're snapping lines for where the concrete height's going to go, you use red, so it stays. Okay, so we're going to cut this. We've got a saw over there. What are we going to do before we even start that saw or plug it in?
Adjust the thickness.
Yeah, yep, adjust that depth. Okay, so go ahead. Somebody get that out. Somebody can get a cord plugged in for him. Work together, you guys, so we can get through this. We got a lot to do here. There's a lot of things to show you yet.
Eli, I got you.
Oh, that was easy. That was too easy. Use the one I got out.
Oh, get over it.
I don't like things that easy. You know that.
Oh, I know.
Okay. Now, with this, you're talking about framing. You guys understand the difference between, yeah, you want it close, but you wouldn't want that sheeting sticking over. It's okay for that. If this was a floor system, you have a wall sitting on here. See how this is grooved down? Wall's going to cover that. That doesn't really matter, okay? Same way with your cut. You want a nice straight cut because you need that to help you line up. But is it okay if it's an 1/8 inch short? You'd rather it be than sticking over, right? Okay, so that's okay. You do want to cut as straight as you can. So somebody's going to assist him by holding that right, not making it pinch.
I'm mentally cheering him on.
Are you? Good.
I'm helping.
We were you too,
Yeah, plug it.
when you were screwing that off.
Yeah, I don't need it.
We were cheering you on. I'll let you cut the next one. Sure you can. All right. Nope, don't pull it backwards with it running after you let out that trigger. It'll catch and throw right back out of there on you. Okay. So yeah, you'd have to get off on the edge to finish your cut. You can cut it from this way. I don't like this because they usually don't come out very good, but I will finish this cut, try to. You got it off just a little bit there, but that's all right. Okay.
I just watched you guys go.
So we're gonna, Austin, get that camera out there, and we're gonna be right down here. Okay, so we're gonna get that on there, correct? Rough side up. So if you cut that backwards, you could turn it upside down and it would work, but that wouldn't be right, right? So you gotta pay attention to your cuts sometimes. To make sure everything's lining up.
Well, my drill, actually.
Okay, fasten her down. We haven't got a lot of time here. Running out of time. I don't want this to turn into a 2-day demonstration.
Can I screw right here, Mr. Adams?
Yes, you sure can. That's where you would want to start, right at your seam, getting the seam tight. Seam tight. Seam tight. Okay. Okay.
Oh my God.
Get her, where's the next spot? Okay.
Here.
Yeah.
So that one's fastened.
And then you're going to go up this seam. No, we're not going to do that outside edge yet. You do this seam. Yep, you got to do that seam. Okay, get on the seam, Austin. Don't go up that. Yeah, you can do there, but not up that edge. So there you go. You're getting that tight. What would be your next step for you? We could go down that seam. Let's not even fasten that there yet. What would be your next step? You would have to pull layout, right? Well, you're just going to let this one go wherever it is?
No.
What do you got to do?
I gotta have Jake take it.
Yeah, but do you have a mark on there? Have you pulled layout? Them marks are not going to be there for you. So Jake can get it. Jake will pull layout. All right. Now, is that what you want to do? You want to hook and pull layout and make a mark on your sheeting. What I want you guys to pay attention to here everybody come down right down here. What should this layout be if, Austin, come down here with that. What should this layout be right here?
15 1/4.
If I stay hooked, it should be at one of those centers, correct? All right, so I'm gonna mark that at 11, 111 1/4, right? That should be edge. What I want you guys to pay attention to, because sometimes you get on a long wall or a long floor system, your tape's not long enough, okay? So you have to move your tape. If I move my tape off from that end one and I hook on one of these to start pulling layout, which is okay, is it any longer, come here, somebody look at that. Is it any longer at 15 1/4, 31 1/4? Look, eye down on them. Not the one I'm hooked on, but the next one. Is it any longer 15 1/4?
No,
Where is it at?
16.
Right, okay. It changes. See how that's 64 even? The only one that's off
Is that first
is the first one. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So if you have to move your tape, that's what it's gonna be, okay? Which happens on most buildings because they're bigger than a 25-foot tape. Okay.
So from here to that point should be 16.
Yes, it should. Okay. So that's important. So we'll go ahead and get that fastened and just get one in that corner for now.
You guys have a line? Okay.
This guy. There.
Oh my god, this doesn't have a hole in it. Shouldn't that make you happy, Adams?
It does. Did you get your finger?
What?
You know what I like is when you slip off and then you have a big cut in your hand, the shape of that Phillips bit.
What?
When you slip off and you pinch your finger and you have the shape of that Phillips bit cut in your finger, kind of like the side of my finger.
Yeah, no, I've never done that.
You don't like that?
I know.
Okay.
When I did things, I used my brain.
Oh.
Okay.
All right. So we're to the second row now. Again, you would glue. Of course, you'd want to take a measurement. Before you glue, you wouldn't want to run your tape through glue. Back that off. Okay, so it doesn't matter if it's a floor system or if it's a roof system. They both get ran perpendicular to your nailers, okay? You don't run this stuff the 8-foot way like the walls. Something has to happen here. Do you think I should throw another 8-foot sheet on here?
No.
Make sure
You should measure it.
You cannot throw another 8-foot sheet on here.
Right.
You cannot have the seam and the next row have the seam on the same nailer. You got to break those up. Now, if this was 3 rows wide, you could change this one, but then that next one could fall back on this same one, so you could go back to an 8-footer your third row, but you can't have them stacked on top of each other that way. Now, normally for waist, you want a 4-foot piece. You'd start out with a 4, because 4 would work here and be right center, okay? We cut that. I guess let's cut a 4. Let's do that. So now your piece works really good because this is the factory you need on this end. So, no I didn't. I just felled it, rubbing. So you want 4 foot in, right? So somebody else is gonna mark and cut this time. Austin, you getting anything back here?
Yeah.
Okay.
What do you want?
Yes. And I purposely built this bigger than 8 foot because you guys needed to understand that those seams have to be split up. Huh. What's that? Is there? Yeah. I think I remember it. It's one that's all messed up. It's all kinked up, I think. I think it's Mr. Brown's. Okay. And why do you want to pull it that way?
Because you don't want to cut in between.
Never cut between two sawhorses. I shouldn't say never. There is a way to do it safely. It would be to lay a couple 2x4s across, because sometimes you have to. If that was an 8-foot sheet, you wouldn't want to hang 4 foot off the end. So you put two 2x4s on the flat and you just cut right across there, then it's safe. As long as you have your saw set where it's not going to cut all the way through the 2x4s too.
Yep.
Plug it in.
Grab this side. It's going to be heavy.
You guys don't like cutting on all across there? Huh? Oh, that's right. You're not supposed to reach out and lose your balance, right? Yeah, well, it's all about safety. Okay. Remember, be careful with the tongue and grooves. You can't bang them up. Just lean that right up against that sheet for now, Austin.
What's up?
Yeah. Oh, there went my square. Okay. So we're going to line that up. Of course, we would glue first, correct? Okay. Now for the fun thing. Once they get that laid down there. You do. Wait.
What?
You don't want to beat that tongue or that groove all up though. Okay. Normally, if you had another row, you'd have to get another piece in there. So you get it lined up what you can. Of course, you can't. You haven't got that together all the way. Where'd my sledgehammer go that I had out? Okay. So what you need to do, sometimes floor joists are different, have different crowns, and we talked about crowns. So if you had a full 8-foot sheet on there, sometimes it's puckering up on one end or in the center. You need help. Somebody will have to stand there to hold that down so it goes in the groove. So you're going to get a chunk of scrap 2x4 material and sledgehammer, and you drive that together. That keeps you from beating this all up, and in case you had to run something else in there. So sometimes you can't get every bit of it at once. Usually what you'll do is get one corner, get it good, and then go get it fastened at that end and then move to this end. Now, this stuff doesn't come, it's not made to come completely tight. You will not drive them all the way together. That's about what it goes together. But I can see I needed to come that way a little bit. And that's okay. You got to move your board over here. Of course, you wouldn't want to beat your factory edge up either, so you drive it that way. Sometimes it'll drive that out of the groove, so then you got to move back and keep working it till you get it. Okay, so that look a little better.
Are we short like an inch in cut?
Yeah, just by the size of it. But would that be all right if this was a floor system?
Yeah.
Because your wall line would go like this. Would you ever even know that was there? No. No, that's framing. Some stuff works out that way in framing. stuff that's going to be hidden, as long as there's good support there, it doesn't really matter. You wouldn't go along and buy a whole sheet of this, which is probably $25, and cut you a little rip off that like that and throw the rest away, right? Okay. Sometime this is the size of the building, it would work out different. We are not going to go through the process of finish fastening this down. Of course, once you got to your end, them are on layout. You don't have to pull layout anymore. They're where they got to be. You already nailed them. But the importance of layout, if you didn't do this right, this stuff is not going to come where it needs to be, okay? It's really layout's really important, okay? So now what we're going to do, I want you to carefully take that piece off there, lean it up here, unscrew this one, lean that up there, and we got to move on to wall sheeting because it's done a little bit different.
Want me to stop it? Turn at the corner.
Yes, you can.